Today on Judge Faith, a friend keeps his roommate afloat.
Not only do I have my son that I have to take care of, taking care of him as well. So it's almost like I have, he's not a tax write-off for me.
But the defendant ships out before he shapes up.
He and I didn't sign anything. He signed the lease. He knew coming in I was going into the military.
Did you not think he was going to bring these text messages to court today?
And later, a homeowner accuses a contractor of leaving his work to his son.
His son took a week and a half to screw down some Durarock and do half of the kitchen.
I've shown him how to do tile. I've shown him how to do just about everything that he's been doing.
Chris said himself he's been doing this for 2 months.
Were you there working for the most part by yourself that week?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Mark Harris Todd is suing his former friend for $899 after he jumped ship on their apartment, leaving him with the bills. He is accompanied in court today by his brother, Martise Harris. Defendant Mark Davis says the plaintiff knew he was going into the Navy and he didn't sign the lease.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Harris Todd versus Davis.
Thank you, Barbara. Mark Harris Todd?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Mark Davis, for $899 you say he owes you for unpaid rent and personal loans?
Yes.
And you also have a witness here with you today, Mr. Martise Harris. Why don't we start with you, Mr. Todd? So the two of you were friends for approximately how long before you lived together?
Pretty much the whole 2010 year. And then we moved in 2011 in January.
And what was the arrangement or the agreement?
Prior to him moving in, he had a situation in which he was kind of working to pay his rent off. So we agreed that we can cut some costs and we would move in together. We looked at a house in Marietta. We had our limit set as far as what we wanted to pay for rent. Once we started doing that, we signed a 15-month lease. And,
the 15-month lease? Do you have a copy of that?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
He said we. First, let me start off by saying the pictures on Google do you no justice.
Okay, sir, let me tell you something. We are not on The Bachelorette.
Okay, got
This
it.
is a gallery, this is not a rose.
I understand it.
Okay?
I understand it. Just want to put that out.
Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Just want to put that out there. But when he said we, he and I didn't sign anything. He signed the lease. He knew coming in I was going into the military.
Hold on a second. He signed the lease, but you agreed that you would live in this apartment, right? Was it an apartment or a house?
Month to month until the time of my departure for boot camp.
What was the total amount of rent?
It was $685 for rent.
I need to move to Georgia. $685. How many bedrooms? How many bedrooms?
It was a 2-bedroom.
2 bedrooms.
But
That's amazing.
The total cost was like $700 and something, but since we signed a 15-month, I signed a 15-month lease.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
They dropped the price. However, it is inaccurate in what he was talking about because he didn't decide to go into the military, nor did he share with me prior to us moving
Prior to you
together.
moving in together. Okay,
Yes.
so what happened? You end up not paying some portions of rent and you end up giving him some loans. Tell me about that.
The reason that he was not on the lease is because he didn't have the credit to get on there at the same rate that I had. I paid a $50 deposit due to my credit. He didn't have that same credit score, and he would have to pay an additional amount in which he said he wouldn't be able to pay and move in at the time that we needed to move in because of his situation. He really wanted to get out of the situation he is. That left...
What situation were you in?
He got all the answers. I'm trying to figure that out. What situation was I in?
I'm asking you. Do you know, where were you moving from?
I was living, because I knew I was going into the military.
Okay.
I was staying in like an off-student campus housing. It's kind of like they rent rooms out to college kids. Mm-hmm. And I was staying downtown off Cascade. Yes. So,
Mr. Todd, go ahead.
So my bills were actually cheaper living there versus moving in.
Well, he didn't force you to move in. You made a choice and you wanted to move in on your own. Okay.
Because we were cool, we were friends, pound game.
What branch of the military were you joining?
The Navy.
Did you actually join?
I did.
Okay, good for you. Are you still in the Navy?
I am.
Wonderful. That's good. That's good. Okay. So he's living with you January through October, and tell me what happens, because you say there are a number of bills that he did not pay and you covered them for him.
What he's giving you is not accurate, to be honest, because why would I sign not only a lease, but a 15-month lease to move in with somebody that I know is going to the military? Listen, my teacher tells me all the time, we in the one standard deviation above the IQ of normal Americans. Why would I enter into a lease to put myself in a position where I would be looking for another roommate and not have him there the whole time?
Well, what was the issue? Because you went through some times where you weren't able to pay your rent. What was going on with you?
No, it wasn't a thing of not paying rent. I did
But
pay
he was
rent.
covering for you a lot, right?
Some.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, he
and,
shouldn't have to do that at all, is what I'm saying.
True that, but he made the conscious decision to do it. You know, we above this IQ level as humans, as he say. You know, he should have been smart enough to say, "Hold up, player."
Well, actually, he was being nice. He was being nice. He could have asked you to leave, but he didn't.
And if he would have asked me to leave, he had his brother sitting right in the living room on the couch. You know what I'm saying?
Who was living in the home? Just the two of you?
Oh no, that one over there too.
Were you talking to me, Judge?
Were the two of you living in the home,
Were
or
you
what, your brother was too?
Yeah.
Step up, sir.
Oh.
What was going on with Mr. Davis during the months that he was living there?
Well, I told my brother that I'd give him money to take some of the weight off of his shoulders. He ended up pawning some of his stuff. Like, a lot of his belongings he had to pawn in order to get money to pay rent, utilities, because all the things, he had to take care of his expenses as well as his.
Okay.
At the same time, Judge, I did have a son. He was born in June. I feel like not only do I have my son that I have to take care of, taking care of him as well. So it's almost like I have, and he's not a tax write-off for me. We've had multiple talks, and I got text messages. I paid his car note for him so it wouldn't get
So why were you doing
repossessed.
all of that?
I did that because at the time, his mom was kind of done with him because he ended up going to jail for unpaid parking tickets.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did.
All right. How long were you in jail for the unpaid parking tickets?
Like 16 hours.
Coming up on Judge Faith, a true he said.
I'm saying that I paid him the money that he's loaned me or given me.
One of the last conversations, he said, "How much do I owe you?"
And later, it's a contracting nightmare.
Was that the only work that was done?
That was it.
The entire
For
month
all
of July?
the detail in the contract, that was all that was done.
Get inside.
Was that the only work that was done?
Yes, but
Okay.
we could not get inside.
Plaintiff Mark Harris Todd says he helped his friend over and over again. Now he needs to be paid back, and he's suing for unpaid fees. Defendant Mark Davis says he paid back what the plaintiff loaned him.
When he left to go to the military in October,
Yes.
how much money are you saying he owed you?
$2,000,
Okay, and how much has he paid from then up until now?
$1,200,
So you're saying he owes you a remaining balance of what?
$900.
And you say you've already paid all that money.
I'm saying that I paid him the money that he's loaned me or given me. What he's seeking is the cancellation fee of the apartment.
What's the remaining $900 that you're suing for?
The remaining $900, the total amount did include the amount for cancellation. He would always make promises to pay, and we had a discussion about this. I have text messages as well, in which he's asked one of the last conversations. He said, "How much do I owe you? How much do I have left to owe you?"
Let me see your text messages.
And at this time,
Because it seems like he's covering an awful lot for you. There's back rent, there's renter's insurance, utility bills. He paid your car note 1 month?
Yes. And that's the money that I paid him back.
Did you not think he was going to bring these text messages to court today? Or you just don't remember what you wrote?
I remember everything.
You know what? You came in here and you lied to me.
I didn't lie.
Yes, you did.
So I'm
Yes, you
supposed to
did.
pay
And I have the
rent for-
text messages that show it. These are your words, not mine. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I am able to send $100 today, and I'm going to send more later this week, most likely Thursday. I'll do my best to pay something every week until it's paid off. Do you remember writing that?
I do.
Okay, that's in June, sir. Then you ask him, what is the remaining balance? And he responds, $900. I was this close to saying he didn't have evidence to prove that you still owed him this money, because I was thinking, this is a ledger, people can come up with numbers, put it on a ledger. I was this close. And I'm thinking, you're in the Navy and honorable and the code of ethics that goes along with being in the Navy, service, honor, and integrity. But know what? You know what? Just like everybody else, you came in here and you lied to me.
I didn't lie.
Yes, you did.
So
yes, you
I'm supposed to
did.
pay
And I have the
rent
text messages that show it.
I'm supposed to pay rent for months that
Listen, don't interrupt me. These are your words, not mine. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You need to get it together. You need to get it together. I would not expect to have to say this to you, but you need to learn to start taking care of your responsibility, and it's going to start with the $900 you owe the plaintiff. I'm ordering you to pay him that judgment, $900 for the plaintiff.
Plaintiffs Emma and Lester Edwards are suing their former contractor for a $3,350 refund on their deposit and lost rental income, claiming his work was shoddy and incomplete. Defendant Charles Gordon Jr. says they wouldn't give him access to the home. He is countersuing for $3,800 in lost wages. He is accompanied in court by his stepson, Chris Monsville.
Lester Edwards?
Yes.
You and Emma Edwards are suing Charles Gordon Jr. for $3,350 for unfinished contracting work and loss of rent?
That is correct.
And I understand you're countersuing, sir, for $3,800 for lost wages?
Yes, Your Honor.
This was a contracting job that you hired the defendant to do in a home you wanted to rent out?
Correct.
Why don't I start with you and you tell me what happened?
Well, I met the defendant on the 19th through a website.
What website?
Craigslist.
Okay.
Talked to him, had a good conversation. Came out, did an estimate on the property, walked through the property, gave
What
me
kind of property is it?
It's a 2-unit apartment building. We met. He did the estimate and everything. We came to an agreement, came to a price, signed a contract.
Not true.
May I have a copy of the contract?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you came to terms of the agreement. What exactly was he supposed to do for you?
Well, it's pretty much listed there. He was going to make the apartments livable. It was actually a partially renovated property, so it wasn't a ton of work to do.
There was a ton. If it's partial by, he means one floor was done. then
I'm
that's what
sorry,
the
Your
way
Honor.
it is.
Am I?
No, there is a pretty comprehensive list here in terms of work he was supposed to do, and the agreed upon price was $3,300 for the work?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and you gave him a deposit of how much down?
$1,650.
So half?
Yes.
Before he started?
Yes.
Did you communicate to him a deadline for when you wanted the work to be completed?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
What deadline was that?
It was a little over a month.
He said he couldn't come because he had a pre-planned vacation that he wanted to spend in Wisconsin with his daughter, which I was fine with. As long as he could start on the day stated in the contract, I had no problem. The day before he was to start, he calls me up and says, listen, I had a death in the family. We're going to be out of town. So I said, okay.
What date was that?
That
the day
was
he
the 1st of July. He did not communicate with me for almost 10 days, Your Honor. I had to call him on the 10th because when you're dealing with death, you want to be sensitive a little bit. So I gave him that time. I called him, and then he texted me back the following day saying, oh, I apologize. You know, the storm hit where I was, tore all the trees. There was no way to communicate. After the storm, he said he'd start Monday, which I was able to be there because I was off work. And he showed up with his son. When he showed up with his son, he was there all of 10 or 15 minutes.
Are you his son?
Yes.
Okay, go
Heading
ahead.
to another job, but he left his son there to do the work. He
Is that
assured-
true?
Partially. I was there way more than 15 minutes. But I did leave my son there, yes, to do the door rock on the floor because I don't need to be there for that. It's screwing some wooding down.
And so what happened?
His son took a week and a half to screw down some Durarock and do half of the kitchen.
And that's like tiling, right?
That's exactly right. And it was not done properly. All of the tiling had to be removed and done over again.
Next on Judge Faith.
When he called me that night, he said it was immaculate.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Did
I'm not
anyone-
kidding you.
did
I
anyone
do
walk on the
good
floor
work.
on
Did
the
you get
tile?
a- did you ever
No,
get a-
Your Honor, that's the
Where
doorway.
would someone walk?
There's
What
a
are they going
doorway
to
that
do?
goes
Just
Right
look
there,
down?
front one. Steve, you want to concede that it's not set right.
Plaintiffs Emma and Lester Edwards say the contractor they hired had his son do the work, and it was incomplete and unprofessional. They are suing for a refund and lost rent. Defendant Charles Gordon Jr. says he supervised the work, and it was well done.
Okay, so what do you have to say about that?
I don't, first off, we were in disagreement on a lot of different things. He had a guy Looney Tunes is what his name was told me as. I'm Looney Tunes. I said, okay. Now, this gentleman's 24 years old. I've been doing this longer than he's been alive.
Who's 24?
The gentleman Looney Tunes. And it didn't take Chris a week and a half.
I'm sorry, who is Looney Tunes?
He is a second contractor that was doing outside work for me. He was capping the windows on the property.
Okay, so that's why he was there.
Yes.
All right. So the first week that you're there working with your son, you leave him to do most of the work.
Well, not most of the work, Your Honor. Just putting down the door rock, because it only takes one person.
Well, you
one thing he
told me,
says-
why don't you stand up?
Sure.
Just come over there. You say in your answer you left the project in Chris's capable hands. Were you there working for the most part by yourself that week?
That's what I was supposed to do. I was there specifically to put down the durock and the tile.
Right, but you were there by yourself most of the
well,
week, right?
He came and oversaw the progress that I was doing.
So he would stop by and see what you were doing.
Yes.
But for the most part,
But
you were
yes,
there by
for the most
yourself
part.
working. Okay. You left the project in Chris's capable hands.
Yes.
And does he have the experience to do
He
this
does.
type of work?
Putting down door rock, I mean, I've shown him how to do this. I've shown him how to do tile. I've shown him how to do just about everything that he's been doing.
Chris said himself he's been doing this for 2 months.
I've been working for him for over a year and a half.
Let's see what Chris did. Let's look at his work.
That is what Chris did.
In a week's
In
time.
a week's time.
Was that a week's
The-
worth of work?
The completed with the durock and the tile, yes, a week. But the durock got down in 2 days.
I see issues with the tile in this photo. Do you see any?
Well, that's not how I left it.
How do you say you left it?
It was, the tiles they were a lot straighter than that. What's in that picture?
May I say
So
something
you
about
think
that?
the tiles were subsequently moved around
Yes.
after you laid
I believe they were walking.
Yeah, you can see the first one how it's
Okay,
pushed out. and it's walking
sir,
on.
hold on a second.
You're right.
Hold on.
It's the floor. People are going to walk on the floor. So the
There has
tiles
to be
shouldn't
time.
move.
It has to dry. It
week's
has to
time.
set.
And how
dry,
long does it need to dry before
24
the
hours.
tiles can be walked
At
on?
least 24 hours. But like I said, they were working on their own projects. They were in and out, so
So
Did
you're
you ever
saying while you
complain?
were laying the tile, people were walking over it?
yes.
Who was doing that?
His labor, Looney Tunes.
And who else?
That is-
Okay,
that
did you
is
have
not-
a
that is not
conversation
true.
with
That
Mr.
is-
Tunes and tell him not to walk on the tile because you're working?
Yeah.
One more thing. When he called me that night, he said it was immaculate.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Did
I'm not kidding you.
anyone,
because
did
I do
anyone
well-
walk on the
good
floor?
work. Whatever.
Did anyone walk on the floor on
you
the
get a-
tile?
did you ever
No,
get a
Your Honor, matter of
contract
fact,
with it?
the
No.
part that he did, there would be no reason why anybody walk on the door because
Stevie Wonder can see that it's not set right.
Was that the only work that was done?
that was it.
The entire
For
month
all
of
the
July?
detail in the contract, that was
Materials.
all that was
Couldn't
done.
get inside. We couldn't get
So
inside.
my
Exactly.
question is, was that the only work that was done?
Yes, but
Okay.
we could not get inside. They never had keys to let us in. Looney Tunes never
Looney
had keys.
Tunes was there.
They didn't
Remember?
have keys to let
Looney
us in.
Tunes was
never
there.
had keys.
He was
never had
there.
keys.
He had keys.
No.
First, he's not there and he's there.
No,
But
he was
fine.
there
But
to
anyway,
tell me
but
my
that's
job,
beside-
then he wasn't going to let
that's
me back
besides
in.
the point. Let me
It's
let me-
not beside the point, it's a fact.
So you're
facts.
saying that the reason why that's the only work that was done was because
Yes.
you didn't have adequate
We had
access
no access.
to
We had
the
no
house?
materials after that either.
They
Matter of
said
fact-
they were in the house for a week, and that's
Tile
all
and
you
durock
got
together.
done in a week.
What's your counterclaim about?
Lost wages from him. Now we couldn't do any other work
You,
because we
you
were
were
waiting
at
to do
another
this thing.
job every
A lot of
day.
time
I was not at a
soaked
job
in
every
his
other day.
now.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
When you've been paid to do a job, they've already paid you half of the money, and that's the only work you've done, and you're telling me various reasons they wouldn't let me in, I didn't have access, and then I have someone here who has a contract and clearly is trying to get work done by the end of the month so he can have a tenant ready to move into that unit. I don't believe that he would have you sitting around every day, all
And yet
day,
that's the case.
not able to work. And he's
And
already
yet that's
paid
the
you.
case.
something?
He's
Can I
already
please
paid you.
say something?
We're done
No?
talking. Now, I'm no construction expert, but I don't have to be to look at that photo of the tiling in that kitchen to know that it looks atrocious. And if I were them, I wouldn't want to pay for it either. Now, I know you're trying to do the noble thing and work with your son and teach him the business. He's next in line to take it over, but he's not ready to work by himself because look at the product that he's producing. And this is your name on the line. This is your company. He's not ready. I'm going to order you to refund the plaintiff's deposit, $1,650 plus court costs, judgment for the plaintiff. Your counterclaim is dismissed.
If you or someone you know has a dispute, don't take the law into your own hands. Let Judge Faith rule on it for you. To submit your case, go to judgefaith.com and tell us your story. See you in court.